The great Darius of Persia had invaded the Greek mainland in 492 to 490 BC. His campaigns, however, were thwarted in the Battle of Marathon, where an Athenian force defeated the Persians. Darius would vow to take revenge on the city. However, he would not be alive to see his plans of a sacked Athens come to fruition. Instead, his son Xerxes would be the man to lead the Persian forces in the second invasion of Greece. This is where our story begins. It is believed that Leonidas was born around 540 to 530 BC to the Spartan king Anaxandridas II, whom himself was said to have been a descendant of Hercules. Leonidas would live the life of a regular Spartan, attending the Agoge, Sparta's public school, where he learned academics and warfare from the age of 7. Leonidas lived this humble life mainly because he had an older brother whom himself was already destined to be king. Leonidas would, however, later go on to succeed his older half-brother Cleomenes after he was deposed as king for a planned revolt against Sparta's co-king Demaratus. Cleomenes would flee Sparta, however would eventually return and be placed in chains at the behest of Leonidas, as many of the Spartans feared the potential of Cleomenes. He would end up committing suicide in jail with the help of a helot. Leonidas would go on to marry his half-brother's daughter Gorgo, and together they would produce a son, Pleistarchus. I guess the ancient Spartans really did like keeping it in the family. Anyway, back in Persia, Xerxes had conquest on his mind, but first he wanted to find out what Greek cities would oppose his rule. So he sent out envoys to all the major Greek cities, barring of course Sparta and Athens, due to the not-so-savoury way they had treated the previous envoys. Well, with the knowledge that Greece was going to be invaded, the individual city-states had a decision to make. Join Xerxes, join the Greek alliance, or stay neutral. Only about a tenth of the total cities decided to join the Spartan-led resistance effort, leaving them grossly outnumbered. This meant that for any land or sea battle, the defending Greeks would have to use their terrain wisely. Thus began the idea for the Battle of Thermopylae, in which the small Greek force could create a phalanx with a cliff face to their left and the ocean to their right, meaning that they could battle the formidable Persian forces without the prospect of them flanking or surrounding them. The invaders would have to come head first. Not a game you want to play against the Spartans. The Greeks also had the advantage in the field of weaponry, as they were not only better armoured than the Persians, but they were also able to engage them from a larger distance. This is down to the Greeks using a spear that ranged from 4 to 6 meters long, while the Persians primarily used swords. This led to the Greeks being able to kill the Persian attackers long before they could even reach their line. In an attempt to make the Spartans surrender before the battle, Xerxes had offered them a peaceful resolution as long as the Spartans handed over their weapons. The Spartans responded with perhaps the coldest line in ancient history: "Come and take them." The ensuing battle at Thermopylae lasted for 3 days. For 3 whole days, the 300 Spartans and their Greek alliance of around 7,000 held against the might of the massive Persian army. They had to endure an onslaught of men and arrows. A Persian messenger stated before the battle to a Spartan general that the amount of arrows that the Persians were going to fire were enough to block out the sun. The Spartan responded, "Then we will fight in the shade." This resilience, however, could not last forever, as eventually, due to happenstance or betrayal, the Persians found a pathway into the Spartan lines and routed them. A small contingent of Spartans, including Leonidas, would stay as a rear guard for the retreating Greeks. They fought valiantly, however, eventually Leonidas would fall. His men would launch multiple rescue missions to retrieve his body, but they were unsuccessful, and eventually they too perished. The Persians would desecrate the body of Leonidas through crucifixion. They would then later behead the king and place his head on a pike as a warning to others. Technically, the Greeks were defeated at Thermopylae. However, they managed to slow down the Persian advance so greatly that when they arrived at Athens to seek revenge, they were greeted to a ghost town. Everyone had been evacuated from the city. The great sacrifice laid down by the warriors at Thermopylae had been a major success. The Greeks would go on to win major sea battles that eventually led to the retreat of the Persian army from the Greek mainland. This victory can in multiple ways be tied back to the stand at Thermopylae. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I hope you'll stick around for next time.